أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا ولي الله أشهد أن أمير المؤمنين وإمام المتقين عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله لا إله إلا الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم اجعل قلبي بارا وملسارا وشكارا ورزقي دارا وأولادي أبرارا واجعلني عند قبر نبيك محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم مستقر قرارا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي قصرت الحمد لله الذي كان موجودا قبل حدوث الأشياء ويبقى بعد فناء الأشياء تفرد بالأولية والقدم ووسم كل شيء ما عداه بالفناء والعدم كما قال زشان كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه وكل نفس ذائقة الموت وقال كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام سبحان من لا يخفى عليه اختلاف النيات ولا يعزم عنه ماس العباد في الخلوات سبحان الله الذي منه خلقة العباد وإليه المعاد فمن يعمل مثقال ذرة خير يرى ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شر يرى نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو الملك الذي لا ينازع في ملكه ولا يضاد في حكمه يعذب من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء ويرحم من يشاء بما يشاء كيف يشاء تعذيبه المسيئين عدل وعفوه تفضل ونشهد أن محمدا سيد المرسلين وخير المبشرين والمنذرين صلى الله عليه وآله الهداة المهديين من ركب سفينتهم نجا واهتدى ومن تخلف عنها ضل فغرق وهوى أوصيكم عباد الله بالاعتصام بالتقوى فإنه حبل متين وأروة وثقى فقد قال الله تبارك وتعالى وقوله الحق وهو أصدق القائلين بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وكذلك جعلناكم أمة وسطا لتكونوا شهداء على الناس ويكون الرسول عليكم شهيدا صدق الله العلي العظيم اللهم محمد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I begin by advising myself and exhorting all of you to practice the taqwa and the piety of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as is the best of provisions. The verse that I recited, ayat number 143 from chapter number 2, Surah Baqarah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayat talks about a phenomena that is something which is needed in every step and every aspect of our lives. Whether we live when we were young, when we were old, whether we live in a place where there are not many resources or there are resources, whether we are living a place which does not require many things, or a place which demands more stuff, regardless of all of these situations, we see that this is a concept which has to be practiced and applied at every step of the way, in every step in our lives. And that concept is the concept of moderation. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this ayat says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا, that we have made you a moderate nation, لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ, so that you could be an example for all people, وَيَكُونُ الرَّسُولُ عَلَيْكُمْ شَهِيدًا, and so that Prophet as an example for you. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us, Muslims, to be an example for others. How would you achieve this being exemplary for others? Is when you practice what is called moderation. When you practice what is called being ummatan wasata. Nobody likes the result of being on the extremes. The two words that are used in Urdu, ifrat and tafrit. That when you are on the two sides of the extreme and you have sided with one or the other. Nobody wants to be on the either extreme. Stepping out of moderation and its limits leads to failure. When there's so much of this, it'll lead to failure. When there's so little of it, it will also bound to fail. And no matter what the reason might be, those who choose the path of moderation safeguard themselves against every evil, stay away from being ignorant extravagantly. These are the people who are mostly that you see that they're liked by general public. People appreciate them. Of course, true appreciation is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but even people like to see individual acting on moderation. You can take examples in your life every single day when you come across someone, how some people react to something is small. Take 10 people, do something or say something in front of them and look at the reaction. The different reactions will tell you who was moderate in reacting to it and who was extremist in reacting to it. Or anything of that matter. Sometimes certain things happen in front of us, an accident or incident happens and takes place in front of us, different people will react differently. The reaction will tell you, and they'll vary from person to person. And that'll tell you who is at moderation and who is not at moderation. Now, we're not saying that you should not show emotions in certain areas. When a person loses a loved one, they're going to go ahead and show emotion. The natural tendency is to weep and cry and to wail and all that stuff. But here you will also see moderation, although you don't expect, because this person is overcome by the loss that they have, for example, suffered. And therefore, the perfect example in this scenario is the example of Ahlul Bayt, that you find regardless of where they were, whether it was in the heat of the desert of Karbala, whether they were simply in a place where they were amongst our family members, their reactions and their way of dealing was always in moderation. So of course, when we talk about moderation in the lives of Ma'asumeen, does that mean we think about their moderation and then we forget about ours? No, we look at their moderation and then we go ahead and try and implement that moderation to ourselves. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Darbar band kar dein. So, even in social and political issues, being extravagant, and you see that all the time. People who, for example, join one party or join the other party, even right here, sitting over here, many of us, coming from overseas, many of us coming from Pakistan or India or East Africa. Now, I don't know how much interest you have in the politics of those countries anymore, but here we see that, yes, when people sides with one political party, regardless of all the extremities that are associated with them, people will still show loyalty to them. No, extremism does not have any place as far as Islam is concerned. You should be ready to condemn yourself and your family members and your loved ones if they are on one of the extremes and they have left the path of moderation as far as this is concerned. So there's no doubt. how important moderation is, and the negative effects of ifrat and tafrit are also obvious to us. It exists, as I said, in all aspects of our life, every walk of life. Thinking about it, when it comes to your thought process, when it comes to your thinking, which nobody sees what person is thinking. All of you sitting over here, not that I have an opportunity to study you all right now. I'm here to deliver something. But if I look around, I can't tell who's thinking what. Maybe general perception, this person is thinking how long this khutbah will be. The second person is thinking, I have to get back to work, for example. Third person is thinking, for example, what will be served after Jummah. I don't know. Different thinking. I can only speculate, but I can't really pinpoint who's thinking what. But moderation when it comes to our thought process is important as well. Behavior, friendship, and even enmity. When you're an enemy of someone, moderation is required. You can't just be wholeheartedly enemy of someone and say, well, that's it. No, moderation was shown in the lives of Masumeen when they dealt even with their own enemies. The person comes and brings the sword. Imam says what? Fourth Imam, after returning back to Medina. He said, even the person who killed my father with the sword comes with that sword for me to go ahead and do what? Hifazat, and safeguard that. I will not do khiyanat in doing so. You say, well, how can we have such a heart? Yeah, it's very difficult. But this is where the concept of moderation comes into play. So clothing, eating, entering, exiting, weeping, laughing, generosity, stinginess, sleep, and worship, talk or being quiet, good perception or bad perception, humor, and seriousness, encouraging others. No, be moderate when you're encouraging. Discouraging someone, be moderate when it comes to discouragement. Stiffness and easygoing. Love, compassion, they also require moderation. You cannot just pour all the love in the world. No, you got to be moderate when it comes to it. This is my child. This is my only child. I'm going to pour as much love as I want. No, that'll only spoil the kid. You need to be moderate when it comes to pouring love as far as your own kids or grandkids are concerned. Being strict or being lenient, criticizing and complimenting, and so on and so forth. So I said every aspect of your life that you can think about, from your thinking and even to your behavior, all has to be hanging in a balance of moderation. So here we'll survey this topic through the points mentioned in the kalam of none other than Mawlai Muttaqiyan, Amirul Mu'mineen, Ali ibn Abi Talib, alayhi salatu wassalam. As we are on the brink of the Wiladat ba Sa'adat of Mawlud Kaaba, 13th of Rajab is upon us. Tomorrow will be the 13th of Rajab. Congratulations to all of the mu'mineen and mu'minat, all of those who are mutawallin and those who are mutamassakin bi wilayat Amirul Mu'mineen. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring this prosperous birth and brings happiness to your lives and takes away difficulties that might be surrounding you. In order to reach a destination, there are several ways. Path of deviation can lead to despair. Amirul Mu'mineen says, Al-yaminu wa-shamalu madallatun wa-tariqul wusta hiyal jadda. He said the right and the left are misleading. The real path is that of the path which is wusta, which is the path of moderation. Now, of course, don't take this in literal sense. I assume that we all understand. Imam is not saying that if you have to take this, road on the left to get to your destination, no, I'm always going to stick with the middle road. No, that's not what Imam is saying. Imam is saying when it comes to your path of your life, you always have these three options in front of you. When you're standing, you say, well, there might be a T-junction in front of us. No, there are always these three options for you. Either you go in this direction or that direction, or you take the path which is the middle path. So he says in this khutbah number 16 that right is misleading and left is misleading. The real path is the path of moderation. And this is something which has been verified with your aql. If you put it to test, your aql will also verify the same thing. That's why everything that our deen talks about is ayn aql. Sometimes people say, this doesn't fit in my aql. I cannot come around this. I cannot wrap myself around this mas'ala that Islam presents, for example. Why are you trying to wrap yourself around with your aql? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made something obligatory. You can't think about it. You can't figure out why did he make this obligatory. Now I'm trying to think it with my aql. My uncle says, no, that cannot be obligatory. My uncle says this cannot be haram, for example. You can't think about it with your akal. Guess what? Allah, the one who created this halal and haram for you, He's the one who is also the creator of this akal of yours. So you're trying to perceive and you're trying to understand the actions of Almighty through the akal that He has given to you. So it'll be very difficult. That's why, you've heard the story when Hazrat Adam, Abul Bashar al-Awwal, he was sent 3 things. And he could only keep one of them, right? Aql, deen and haya, intellect, religion, and modesty. And now he had a choice. He can only pick one, and he had to return the 2. I'm sure many of you have been given the opportunity. You can only take one of the 2. And when we were kids, we were always given the opportunity. You can only take one, right? So he said, you can only pick one of these 3. Hazrat Adam says, if I pick, for example, deen, then people will call me behaya, without modesty, immodest. If I pick modesty, people will call me ladeen, and vice versa. So after thinking about it, Hazrat Adam ﷺ, he picked aql. When he picked aql, and he said to the other 2, deen and haya, to go back, he saw that they did not go. They did not move an inch. He said, how come you're not going? He said, wherever there's aql, there's deen and there's haya. You made the right choice. You picked the right combination. This aql, wherever this aql goes, deen and haya will always be accompanying it. So here we understand that all of our amal and actions are also according to the general perception and the aql and the intellect Allah has given. So this path has been remembered by Siratul Mustaqim. Again, Amirul Mu'mineen says, regarding the hayat of the Prophet of Islam, Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wasallam, if you can summarize the life of Rasulullah in one word, well, 2 words here Amirul Mu'mineen uses. He says regarding the hayat of Rasulullah, siratuhu al-qasd. The life of Rasulullah is moderation. Nothing more, nothing less. This encompasses everything. Just look at the magnitude of these 2 words that Imam uttered, summarizing the life of Rasulullah. That his sirat is what? His sirat is qasd. Qasd is moderation. Is based on moderation. Every action, from going to war, from making peace treaty, from every aspect of his life, was based on the idea of iqtisad and being moderate, miyana ravi. So therefore, alallahi qastus sabil, Amirul Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib ﷺ further elaborated on this concept. He said, if you see someone on one of the 2 extremes, this is how you should look at this person. He said, La taral jahila illa mufratan aw mufarritan. Jahil and ignorant will always be on the one of the 2 extremes. That is one of the indications as far as the juhal and jahilin are concerned. So, I wanted to get in the details as azan is now late. 12:12 is azan, so it sort of cuts down on the time of the khutbah. That's why we sometimes end up being at 12:40. So I apologize for that. We'll try, inshallah, finish everything by 1 o'clock. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So a couple of notes regarding this. Ifrat, being on one of the extremes, can be done out of love and care by a mother to her children. For example, she feeds the child more than enough, more than it is required. No, out of love, I'm going to feed my child more and more and more. No, this is extravagance. This is ifrat. What will happen? This will get the child sick. Or malnutrition on the other side. Very little food is provided. They have the food, just not giving it to the child. Both of them will be considered extreme. Extra affection toward a child might make others jealous and envy. And this does not even leave, by the way, the house of a prophet. You say, well, how could this happen in the house of a prophet? Love toward Hazrat Yusuf led to what? The jealousy and the envy of the remaining brothers of Hazrat Yusuf alayhi wasalam. And if it was rightly so that the love was given to Hazrat Yusuf, he had to be protected. But nonetheless, what happened? What it led to? It led to this jealousy, which then creeped into the minds of the real brothers to go ahead and do what? Take the life of their younger brother. Look at the extreme that they went to. Just due to the jealousy, and because of, person might look at it that there was extreme love provided to Hazrat Yusuf, which was the real cause. So effects of neglect and exaggeration. So what happens when someone is on one of the extremes? What are the effects of it? Number one effect that is mentioned is a thamaratu tafrid an-nidama. First and foremost, result of this extremism is regret. Right away, a person feels, I should not have said that. That was just a little bit too far. Right away, there's a regret in you. That's a good thing. You're regretting. What does this regret do? This lets you to correct yourself for the next time. Because what? It's very difficult. Next time, you're right back at the same place. And then you say, oh, I wish I did not say that. I wish I didn't go that far. So this regret, this nidama, is something that comes. Imam Ali said, extends this saying by saying, result of being cautious is peace and immunity. Hikmat number 181 of Nahjul Balagha. That when you're cautious, when you're careful, this leads to what? Peace and immunity. Even when it comes to ibadat. Ifrat and tafreet in ibadat is also not good. Person worships too much. It's not requested from you. Prophet walked into the masjid. He saw a group of people worshiping. He saw another group of people studying and educating themselves. Rasulullah went and sat with those who were studying and discussing knowledgeable things. He said they're good who are worshiping. In fact, when the adhan, one of the reasons why in adhan hayya ala khairil amal was removed is because one of the caliphs thought that people will say, well, this is the best of the amal. They won't go to jihad. So let's get rid of this sentence, hayya ala khairil amal. Because people will be like, hayya ala khairil amal, salat is the best of the actions. Why would I want to go outside and war and fight? When I can do the best of the amal. And when Rasulullah was in his attention, it was brought that many of these men, after the importance of salat was mentioned and hayya ala khairil amal, they have neglected their families. All they're doing is busy in worshipping. Rasulullah went and scolded them. He said, you have families, you have children, you have other work to do. Don't be extremist when it comes to even the ibadat. Now, it's a different story when it comes to Rasul himself. He is obligated for certain other things that you and I are not. So therefore, even with that, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells the Prophet, Ya ayyuhal muzzammil, qumil layla illa qalila. Oh, the one who's wrapped around by a cloak. Stand up for prayer at night, but qalila, not too much. We don't want you to tire yourself too much because you have a big day ahead of you. So even ifrad and tafreed when it comes to ibadat. Ifrad and tafreed when it comes to huquq and the rights of the people. When paying dues to the people, keep in mind that whose right are you taking away and whose right you're not. When paying dues to Allah, keep His rights in mind. Nor Allah will forgive if you usurp someone's rights, neither this person can forgive if you usurp Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's right. So, making sure that when we are dealing with people in our surrounding, we're not usurping their right. We're not ghasib of the huquq of mu'mineen in our surrounding. And exaggeration in the most holy action. The most holy action. And I know I might get some reactions from this. But I'll explain. And even if you have questions afterwards, I'll explain. I'm ready to explain this. In the most of the holy actions, you find ifrat and tafreed could be misleading. What is the most of the holy actions? Is that what you've described everything? You talked about ibadat. What could be more holier than ibadat? Hubbi Ahlul Bayt alayhi salatu wasalam. Love of Ahlul Bayt is the holiest thing for us, right? When the riwayah says from fifth Imam that the basis and the foundation of Islam is on 5 things. He talks about salat, he talks about saum, he talks about zakat, he talks about hajj, and then he says walayat. And walayat is the most important, right? When it is the most important, it says even in that, love of Ahlul Bayt, it could be what? It could lead to extremism. Amirul Mu'mineen in Nahjul Balagha, this is his word, hikmat number 478 and 79. He says, Halaka fiyya rajulan, muhibbun ghal wa mubghidun qal. Two types of people are ruined over me. One who loved me so much, the exaggeration, that he became ghali. Ghali is who? Ghali is the one who associates godly powers to insan. And then mubghizun qal, the one who hates me, lowered my status. This is the call of Amir al-Mu'mineen. No dispute about it. Because if you dispute one thing in Nahj al-Balagha, you're going to dispute everything else as well. We consider Nahj al-Balagha to be the most authentic after Quran. Right? Even to the extent that Sayyid Radi did not even want to mention the sanad. It's so authentic. So you don't find any sanad mentioned from who to this, from that person to that person to Amir al-Mu'mineen. You don't find that in Nahj al-Balagha. Whereas you find in Al-Kafi, you'll find the sanad of the one who's narrating the hadith. Here you don't find it. It's so authentic. Imam said what? Rajul halaka fiyya rajulan, muhibbun ghal wa mubghizun qal. Two categories of persons will be ruined over me, one who loves exaggerately, and the hater and the malice bearer. And this is not just Amir al-Mu'mineen who said this. This is also found in the kalam of other ma'asumin as well, where they use different word. Muhibbun mufritun wa bahitun muftirun. Right? The one who excessive lover and a dull slanderer, the one who accuses and puts baseless and false accusations against us, towards us. So we don't like any of these two extremes. So we must be careful when showing affection to Amir al-Mu'mineen and other ma'asumin. Let it not exceed the limits where we are considered to be ghali, or that one exaggerates the higher the stat, makes the status of Amir al-Mu'mineen over the status of Rasulullah and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. No. Allah, Rasulullah, and then the best of the creation after that is the wujud of Amir al-Mu'mineen, Imam al-Muttaqeen, Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam. And of course, those who, in our common terminology, we call them muqassirin, right? Mubghid, the one who's muqassir, who lowers the status of Aimma al-Tahar. Both of them, Amir al-Mu'mineen is saying in Nahj al-Balagha, both are ruined. Both are halak. There's no way that they will be given any sort of salvation. They're both halak over me because of the excessive love and because of the excessive hate that they have for me. Hopefully, this did not confuse anyone and was not against our aqaid either. So, I'll conclude with the last sentence from the kalam of Amir al-Mu'mineen. He said, Kun samahan wa la takun mubadhiran wa kun muqaddiran wa la takun muqattiran. Be generous but not extravagant, and be thrifty but not miserly. There were other things that inshallah I'll get an opportunity at another time to share with you. But in a nutshell, we are told to spend our life in moderation. Amir al-Mu'mineen describing the life of Rasulullah in one sentence, Siratuhu al-Qasd. His entire life is based on the laws of moderation. So therefore, when you go home today, when you leave, as I said, every aspect of your life, whether you're at work, whether you're home, whether you're driving, whether you're eating, whether you're thinking, whether you're talking, moderation is important in all these areas of our lives. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, give us the tawfiq and ability to be able to live our lives based on the teachings of Ahlul Bayt, alayhimu salatu wassalam. Inna hasan al-hadith wa ablagh al-mu'idha kitabullahi. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Wal asr innal insana lafi khusr. Illa alladhina amanu wa amilus salihat wa tawasaw bil haqqi wa tawasaw bis sabr. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحليم الكريم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب وهو الغفور الرحيم سبحان من سبقت رحمته غضبا ووسط اليدين من رحمة. سبحان من لم يكلف نفسا إلا دون وسعها وعن السيئات ولم يجاز بها. سبحان من لا يزداد ولا ماس لعباد إلا كرما وجودا ولا كثرة الذنوب إلا عفوا وصفها. نشهد أن لا إله إلا هو لطوف على العباد بجوده والأفضل المظلمين بحلمه. ونشهد أن محمد نبيه وحبيبه سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين بعثه رحمة للعالمين. ألا قد أمركم الله في محكم كتابه بالصلاة على نبيه وحبيبه فقال تعليما لكم وتشريفا لصفيه إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيد المرسلين وشفيع المذنبين نبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وآله وعلى إمام المسلمين وقائد الغر المحجلين أمير المؤمنين علي بن أبي طالب صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى سيد نساء العالمين وبذة خاتم النبيين سيدتنا فاطمة بنت رسول الله صلوات الله عليها وعلى الحسن المجتبى الحسين الشهيد بكربلاء وعلي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى محمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي عليه الصلاة والسلام. اللهم صل على مولانا صاحب الزمان ما هي آثر البدع والطغيان هادم أبنة الشرك والنفاق حاصل رفور البغي والشقاق صلوات الله وسلامه عليه وعلى آبائه الكرام متصلت الليالي والأيام. اللهم عجل فرجا وسهل مخرجا وكل ناظرنا بنظرة منا إليه وجعلنا من المستشهدين بين يدي وتفضل على أمراء المؤمنين بمزيد التوفيقات وازدياد الإقبال وعلو في الدرجات. اللهم افعل بنا ما أنت أهله ولا تفعل بنا ما نحن أهله بجاه محمد وآله المعصومين صلوات الله عليهم أجمعين. من يذكر فتنفع الذكرى إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون. الله أكبر الله أكبر. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله. حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة. الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله. الله أكبر. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يسبح لله ما في السماوات وما في الأرض الملك القدوس العزيز الحكيم. هو الذي بعث في الأميين رسولا منهم يتلو عليهم آياته ويزكيهم ويعلمهم الكتاب والحكمة وإن كانوا من قبل لفي ضلال مبين وآخرين منهم لما يلحقوا بهم وهو العزيز الحكيم. ذلك فضل الله يؤتيه من يشاء والله ذو الفضل العظيم. مثل الذين حملوا التوراة ثم لم يحملوها كمثل الحمار يحمل أسفارا بئس مثل القوم الذين كذبوا بآيات الله والله لا يهدي القوم الظالمين. قل يا أيها الذين هادوا إن زعمتم أنكم أولياء لله من دون الناس فتمنوا الموت إن كنتم صادقين ولا يتمنونه أبدا بما قدمت أيديهم والله عليم بالظالمين. قل إن الموت الذي تفرون منه فإنه ملاقيكم ثم تردون إلى عالم الغيب والشهادة فينبئكم بما كنتم تعملون. يا أيها الذين آمنوا إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فاسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون وإذا رأوا تجارة أو لهوا انفضوا إليها وتركوك قائمة قل ما عند الله خير من اللهو ومن التجارة والله خير الرازقين. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار بجاه محمد وآله الأطهار. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العالى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العالى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل هو الله أحد الله الصمد لم يلد ولم يولد ولم يكن له كفوا أحد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمد. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. ربنا أفرغ علينا الصبر وثبت أقدامنا وانصرنا على القوم الكافرين بجاه محمد وآله الطاهرين. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. رب صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر الله أكبر الله أكبر.
ملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح جناب فاطمة الزهراء سلام الله عليها. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أستغفر الله الذي لا إله إلا هو الحي القيوم الرحمن الرحيم ذو الجلال والإكرام وأتوب إليه. All of us together. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم كن لوليك حجة الابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرزك توعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Jummah Mubarak to all of you. Let's recognize the sponsors for today's Jummah lunch. It is the family of brother Quraishi, Zafar Quraishi, and his family. Please recite Surah Fatiha for their deceased relatives as well as yours, including Amreen Quraishi as well as Maulvi Muhammad Bakhsh Shah Quraishi. Surah Fatiha. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Also, inshallah, tomorrow you guys know that the program here for the celebrations on the Wiladat ba Sa'adat of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salatu wa salam, inshallah, grand Jashan, as we always have. Inshallah, we'll be here tomorrow, starting with Namaz-e-Maghriban at 5:45 p.m. Inshallah, we'll have guest speaker as well as the reciters from outside, and as well as our local poets and reciters who will be paying tribute to Amir al-Mu'mineen. Indeed, it'll be very spiritually uplifting gathering, so I urge all of you to attend with your family and friends in this grand jashan, which will of course be tomorrow. Prior to the men's jashan at 4:30, there's a women's milad as well, which will be over here specifically only for the ladies. So ladies interested in that, inshallah, should attend that as well. These programs, inshallah, will be tomorrow. The main jashan is, of course, at 5:45 p.m. Okay. Okay, so also along with the sponsors of Jummah, there's Nazar of Imam Jafar Sadiq alayhi wasalam, which inshallah you can enjoy afterwards. Sponsored by the family of Dr. Iqbal and Abda Jafri. Please recite a Surah Fatiha for their deceased relatives as well. Bismillah. Anyway, inshallah, a couple more announcements. We have Fajr Salat, rain or shine. It'll be very cold in the morning, but 6 o'clock we'll be here for Salatul Fajr. Hopefully you can join us. We'll keep you warm, and there'll be hot breakfast served afterwards. So come and join us tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock for Namaz-e-Fajr, followed by a Quran recitation, and then we go down for breakfast, and same thing on Sunday morning. We have Salat, followed by Dua Sabah, Ziyat Ashura, and then breakfast. So take a moment out of your weekend in the morning, start the day right, and inshallah join us for both of these. There is also majalis and other programs that are coming up. Inshallah, we'll send that in the email. Before we conclude, let's remember all of those people who are in need of dua, those who are suffering, struggling, going through difficult time, physically, spiritually, financially, mentally. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bring them out of their difficulties and provides them full recovery. Keeping in mind Parveen Zafar Qureshi as well. Bismillah. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أمن يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء أما يجيب المضطر إذا دعاه ويكشف السوء ويجعلكم خلفاء الأرض أإله مع الله قليلا ما تذكرون اللهم صل. Forgot one thing. Tonight also we have our youth program. We've been having these programs for almost a month now, or a couple of months now. So it's usually once a month or twice a month type of program, only geared towards the kids, youth 13 and above. So join us, inshallah, for 1 hour long program starting at 7 o'clock today, 7 to 8. We'll keep it short, 1 hour long. And inshallah, while Sadiq School is ready, the building is ready, and the finishing touches, and of course, the inspections are pending, we will use that facility as well for the sporting activities, and inshallah, those will increase. So I encourage all the youngsters to join us Friday nights. Usually we have these programs. Look for the email that goes out, and of course, our social media outlets. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن عليا ولي الله أشهد أن عليا حجة الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح حي على خير العمل حي على خير العمل قد قامت الصلاة قد قامت الصلاة الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله الله أكبر بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الله أكبر. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. وربي أدخلني مدخل الصدق وأخرجني مخرج الصدق واجعلني من لدنك سلطانا نصيرا. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بحول الله وقوته أقوم وأقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. بحول الله وقوته يقوم ويقعد. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العظيم وبحمده. سمع الله لمن حمده. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي العلى وبحمده. الله أكبر. أستغفر الله ربي وأتوب إليه. الله أكبر. سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان الله سبحان ربي الأعلى وبحمده. يا لطيف ارحم عبدك الضعيف. الله أكبر. الحمد لله. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. السلام عليك أيها النبي ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام علينا وعلى عباد الله الصالحين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. الله أكبر. الله أكبر. الله أكبر.
وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. تسبيح.
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا من أرجو لكل خير وآمنوا سخطه عند كل شر. يا من يؤتي الكثير بالقليل. يا من يؤتي من سأله. يا من يؤتي من لم يسأله ومن لم يعرفه تهننا منه ورحمة. أعطني بمسألتي إياك جميع خير الدنيا وجميع خير الآخرة. واصرف عني بمسألتي إياك جميع شر الدنيا وشر الآخرة. فإنه غير منكوس ما أتيت. وزدني من فضلك يا كريم يا ذا الجلال والإكرام يا ذا النعماء والجود يا ذا المن والطول. حرم شيبتي على النار برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Mutwajjih Zahir today recite the Zahir of Amir al-Mu'minin. May Mawla of the universe solve all your problems instantly with the click of his Zulfqar. Ameen. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum ya Nabi Allah. Assalamu alaikum Indra. Assalamu alaikum ya Sayyid Sal Alameen. Assalamu alaikum ya Amir al-Mu'minina wa Yasub ad-Dina wa Qaid al-Ghur al-Muhajjalina. Assalamu alaikum ya Bab Allah ya Ain Allah. Hid Nazira wa Id al-Basita wa Uzal Wa'iya وحكمة البالغة ونعمة السابقة ونعمة الدائمة. السلام على قسيم الجنة والنار. السلام على نعمة الله الأبرار ونعمة الله الفجار. السلام على سيد المتقين الأخيار. السلام على أخي رسول الله وابن أمه وزوج ابنته والمخلوق من طينته. السلام على الأصل القديم والفر الكريم السمر الجنيم. السلام على بالحسن علي. السلام على شجرة التوبة والسدرة المنتهى. السلام على آدم صفة الله ونوح النبي الله وإبراهيم خليل الله وموسى كليم الله وعيسى الله ومحمد نبي الله ومن بينهم من النبيين والصديقين والشهداء والصالحين وحسن أولئك رفيقا الأعلى. السلام على نور الأنوار وسريجة حارب ناصر الأخيار. السلام على والد الأمة الأبرار. السلام على حبل الله المتين وجنب المكين ورحمة الله وبركاته. أشهد أن مولاي يا أمين الله وحجة ظاهرا عارفا بحقك مواليا لأوليائك مواديا لأعدائك متقربا لله بزيارتك فاشفع عند الله ربي وربك في خلاصة ركبتي من النار وكوائد رضاء حوائجي حوائج الدنيا والآخرة. السلام عليكم يا أهل بيت النبوة جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليكم صاحب العصر والزمان يا خليفة الرحمن يا مظهر الإيمان. السلام عليك يا كعبة الإيمان يا تفسير الفرقان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن. السلام عليك يا إمام زماننا أجل الله فرجك وسهل الله مخرجك وظهور